I think I.
That would have been quite foolish
That
of
was
you.
rude.
Kent's text tone is, oh my god!
It happened twice at Student Soup.
Listen, I bring peace offerings. So let's just go ahead and get that started.
Oh, wow.
If you care.
Nice.
Wow.
What if I'm still recovering from last night?
How are you feeling, by the way?
I feel great.
Okay.
Number 7 got spilled on my shirt anyway.
Oh, all right.
It's really good.
in the freezer.
Because I was
Dangerously
like,
good.
gotta turn my camera over.
That was not me, okay?
That was great.
Does anyone have any food?
Does
I'm a little
anybody have
hungry.
food?
I'm a bit
We
peckish.
have this,
Food,
apparently.
coffee,
yeah,
coffee
we've got
maybe?
yeast.
We have liquid.
We're good.
We're on a liquid diet right now.
All right.
No,
Down.
joking.
Someone.
I feel so important now, though.
Are those technically like
Fatty, do you want some
the
food?
snacks you get out of the fridge that you have to pay like
Just throw
$5
peanuts
for?
Jason,
Oh, what is it? What is it?
I'm gonna need you to
They
come
gave us
talk in a
couple
little
of
bit.
bags of gummy bears.
Oh,
during our
yeah.
channel last night, and they were great. They hit.
What is this?
They hit the spot.
Sure, just drop them.
Munchies.
We'll figure it out.
I'm gonna eat them right up on the mic, though.
This is Munchies Cheddar Cheese
Hey.
Cheetos brand.
Shout out to Raph.
Hey!
Shout out to Rafiki.
Check out Shimmy Sham Gaming.
Ship time.
Raph,
All right.
you're a handsome man.
Just leave us then.
That's Shimmy Sham Gaming. SHIMMY.
Shimmy.
Listen, you can find it. I'm gonna use this as a mic stand.
Perfect. That's perfect. Yeah.
Crackers?
Crackers. Aside from this guy,
I mean, they
crackers.
are, but
Crackers.
No.
Crackers?
Joseph, have you not eaten today?
Oh, I'm good.
I had applesauce.
Güeros. Listen, half of this is gonna be in
Gringo
Spanish.
and proud of it.
Oh Jesus Christ! I flunked Spanish. Oh God. I was born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, and I can ask for the bathroom is. I think.
I'm from a pueblito.
Baños.
Donde es el baño?
Yeah.
I'm from a little small town
I can,
called
I can also
Houston.
hit on people in Spanish.
Hey,
Culo!
dale.
How you do it?
No, aquí in mis pantalones.
Oh Lord, let me take my pants off.
That was not the reaction I was going for.
Listen,
but-
you said you could hit on people. You didn't say what specific people.
You're like the Mexican Pied Piper.
fair enough.
Man, I'm
All you get
I'm
is
not
rats?
screaming just yet.
Mistakes were made. Do we have a projector? I wish we could project this. That's just glorious.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
That's
it's
That's
pretty
nice. That's
Somebody go scan it real quick.
good. All right. There's a Kinko somewhere around here, isn't there? I feel like this is
think
something we
so.
should share en masse.
Hey,
Guys, if I burp in the mic, no one be upset.
You assume that I have a camera in my pocket.
where is it?
Oh, you're just
Oh,
happy to
that's
see
right.
me?
Oh God! So it's Belota and a dog. Oh God! I feel like I should make it a.
It's so veiny.
Klingon-
Where's the foreskin?
Klingon dog of prey.
I don't see any of that.
Hold on, let me.
Wait,
think,
is that
let me-
not-
Let me.
No?
Okay,
Is that
so
not a normal-
So let's see. So we want like that, and then. And
Why
then
is there an airplane on it?
it's gonna be a Klingon. dog
Listen,
of
it's
prey.
just that big.
Oh, it's a. I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Bird of prey.
Hey, Matt.
Because you prey on chicks, right? Bird.
Oh, got him.
Oh.
What?
Gotti.
This is pew pew. Which
Listen.
actually is kind of appropriate. It is a dog.
So yeah. Anyways, what's this? What are we doing?
What are we
We're
doing?
doing the
today?
thing.
Yes. Hold on. Picture of dog.
Shout out to Tex.
Oh God.
Whoa. Okay, I was like,
This is
Google image
happening.
search. Let's not do that one.
Guardian. Who's my guardian? Can you cut the feed for a second?
Who's my guardian?
Cut the feed.
You know, I'll just pull this
We
out.
cut the feed.
Well then.
It's just yeah. Could you just put your hand over that?
Jason, stop being mean to me. Everyone get that guy. Escort him out of here.
Here we go.
Who are you pointing at?
The one in the blue. Not you. You're
Blue.
good.
There's a lot of people blue back there.
There's two people. Are you colorblind?
I don't see color. I'm not racist like you are.
One thumbs up. Yes.
Oh no.
It's cool.
That's what my mom said too. But
These are not PG rated streams, I would hope.
Hey, Tika.
Hey, Izzy and Jack.
Hey.
welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. What? Listen, we're just here to have a good time, all right?
Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the chat. My name's Raph. It's my rap impression.
That's a really good impression.
I'm telling you.
Quality.
Hey, if there's any children in here, we're gonna cuss, so cover your ears.
Yeah.
Like,
We're also.
really.
But if you're, if
we're
you're a
also-
child at heart,
we're-
that's fine.
Actually,
Yeah.
we're going to put art up on the screen. It's art. It's not.
it's hard.
Hey,
That's what I'm classifying it
Listen,
as.
The
picture
human
very
form is a
similar.
beautiful thing, okay?
a picture very similar to yours sold for a lot of money on Thursday.
Wait, what?
The one Barbara
Picture
drew.
of dick?
Oh, well.
But yours is better.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel like we
Taking
should share it.
bids right now.
Well, I've kind of fucked it up because I made it the Klingon Dong of Prey. So
Klingon Dong of Prey.
I feel like the state that it's in your picture is a lot better.
I'm selling the picture then.
Okay, no, that's fair.
I'm gonna start making prints.
That shit up on eBay.
So are we just gonna talk
Are we
about it? Or
good?
are we gonna share it with these guys?
Well, I just need the thing to happen.
Okay.
Do the thing.
I think you might need to.
Using technical terms.
Yeah. Put it back to mirrored.
You tried
Check your
turning it off and on again?
TCP/IP settings.
Again,
Uh huh.
but they need to choose something.
Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again?
Hold on.
This party started.
Let's get it started. Not the other original lyric that was there.
It's getting hot in here.
No.
No,
No. That song had a very different feel in the club.
that was a different panel.
I'll show you feel in the club.
Oh. He means it.
I need the computer feed.
I'm turning so like it's going out of style.
Yeah, we're good.
more room?
Like,
do.
show them
bring your
this,
turtle?
and then I'll get it off the screen, then we can start streaming. Can't stop one.
Hurts too much.
Can't stop one
Is this
top.
grandma's boy? Everyone got that one. And I'll see you. That's all you're getting from me tonight.
You ain't saying
I'm
much.
just keeping the cap on. Why am I even screwing the cap on? Doesn't even matter. I want to keep drinking it.
Are we good to start? We good? Yeah, awesome. Podcast production 101. It doesn't matter what the program says.
Yay.
Hey,
Hey.
welcome. It's 11:30 on a Sunday on the last day
God.
of the con, and we're all alive.
And drinking.
Some of us.
Come on. Let's get a feeler here. Who here is involved in a podcast of some kind? And who here is looking forward to starting one? Awesome.
Nice.
Should be
So we're going to
all
have a
hands.
wealth of information here.
No, I don't know about that.
Well, okay.
We'll have information.
Well,
It might be misinformation, but we'll have information.
Well, once we meet our panelists, you might decide for yourself. So,
you may not want to do it once you.
panelists, myself, Joseph Dunlap, a.k.a. Jay Dunlap, a player for podcast.
Woo!
This guy.
I'm Jonathan Cerna, also known as Roadblock. I am a producer on the Glib Shark podcast.
Yeah.
I'm Ken Dickerman of the Bit Blender podcast.
And I'm Pedro Andres Escalante, host of the Ain't Saying Much podcast and a producer on the Bit Blender podcast. I could have said my whole name. So.
Let's go.
Say the do it. Say your whole name.
Do you really want me to say Pedro Andres Tomás Escalante Acuñas Pedrosa Guevara de la Rosa at your service?
Salute.
Okay, so there's some basics here that we're going to cover.
Oh my God, that is fancy.
Yes, it is. So part one, getting started.
It's like Ruby. It's like.
So the first thing you got to do is pick a cast. It's pretty important. You need to know your intended demographic pretty early on. What format you're going to have, which will cover what that actually means. Length of the episode, because you kind of need to know going in. and other content you may produce, because we all, to some degree, produce other content that's associated with our podcast.
Some of it's good, some of it's bad.
So picking a cast. How big is your cast going to be? My cast is 4.
Is that where the 4 comes from in Player 4?
Sort of.
Dude, that just blew my mind.
Dude,
are you
hell.
serious?
It's also sort of like, the fourth person, they get the crappy controller.
Yeah.
Yes,
on
the
the
Mad
LX
Catz controller that has the turbo button that doesn't work.
Yeah, like the off
Yeah, I was that guy.
Yeah.
The N64 controller where the thumbstick is just a little too loose.
But that's the
Why is it so
Too many
sticky?
Mario parties.
But that's the friend that you want. The guy who just wants to be there and hang out. He doesn't care what controller he gets. He's never picked first.
That's the guy that's gonna murder everyone though one day.
Exactly.
There's only so much Super Smash Brothers on a Mad Catz controller you can take before you just snap.
Well, you're getting like killed by Yoshi all over and over. Yeah. So
First player in a match is Donut, and you're like, come on, seriously, what the fuck?
your cast.
Our cast is 3. It started out with 1. It started out with Jack Edithel way back when. Then it expanded to include Lauren, and then a few years later, it expanded to include me.
Ken?
Lou have what? 4? 4.
There's
I
the
can't keep
British
track of all my
kid,
kids.
There's the British kid.
There's the British kid, Deco. The
Puerto
we have
Rican.
the Puerto Rican, my wife.
There's the
And
brown one.
The brown one is you, and then
Yeah.
me is like the white bread one.
The white supremacist.
Yeah. No. I was going with bread. Come on, man. But yeah, there's 4 of us. But the way we have it set up is that we'd like to start adding like guest appearances. So kind of a 5th when there's guests, but for the most part, it's just 4 of us.
And then, although my podcast has been on hiatus for a while, we have myself, Jason Mosick, who's the guy in blue over there. That's him, raising his hand. We have Jesse Juarez, who's another friend of mine. And, we had Jeremy, our sound guy, but he would never really talk. So it's either 3 or 4, sometimes on occasion 5. So, but in reality, it's just like 3. So.
Well, in reality, it's just like none right
It's,
now.
right now, it's none. So don't tune in.
You guys kind of beat me to the next point. The fact that you can have a rotating cast, or you can have guests, and like recurring guests are sort of like a rotating cast. And so, like, who do you pick as a guest? Typically, like, you want to pick someone that you know or have a rapport with, or maybe you want to pick someone who's kind of a high-profile person.
Usually I'm just like, hey, are you busy today?
Yeah, pretty much.
Cool, let's
Yeah.
hang out.
Like, often some people that you get along really well with will be on a lot, and so it's kind of a rotating cast with them. So like a revolving door, sort of. And then you guys said something at your panel about how you're going to handle guests from now on.
We don't really take guests anymore. We used to have a fun like call-in deal, and it's not like we'll never have another guest. But what we found was that we would get a giant spike for guests, and then after that they wouldn't stick around. And the themed shows can often just be a little exclusive. So like one week we'll be talking about movies, and then the next week we're definitely talking about sports. Well, half our audience would then not turn into the sports show. So instead we've decided to go with a little bit more general format. And if we do have people on, it'll be more of a capacity, like you were saying, just kind of sitting in on the conversation and letting our audience get to know us and come around for us, which we found to be really good. And then for other projects, we have different rotating casts. We're actually, for next year's Game of Thrones spoiler casts, we are going to be adding Jules, aka Jules, because we had a really, really awesome end of the season show, and it was just so packed with stuff that next year we're just going to make sure that she's part of it the entire time. But it's fun. It's fun to do different stuff.
Cool.
Also, why do you pick your guests? But we already covered that.
Because they're awesome.
Yeah, of course. Maximum number of voices. We've been kind of alluding to this whole time. What's the maximum number of voices your producer's willing to edit? For me, I would like it to be 5, but recently we had a call-in episode where Escalante and Mass Halo Gear both called in while all 4 of us were on there, and it got kind of chaotic, but it was really fun. But my maximum usually is 5. What about you?
So you were mentioning side projects, and I play a little bit of Destiny, just a little bit.
A little bit.
And one fun thing that we've tried to do is take people on raids. And since since we've done a lot of the both of the raids a lot, it's gotten to the point where it's less about, okay, let's get through this, and more about, oh hey, so we're just hanging out in the Gorgon maze and someone just shot a rocket launcher. Why? So obviously in that scenario you have 6 voices, and I think that can get a little chaotic. But if you have the right mix of knowing who's sharing the energy when, and you just don't have like 2 or 3 hams like me that are trying to take up all the bandwidth, then I think it could really work. But normally 4, and like I said, the 6 is kind of a extreme one-off situation.
I think you make a good point about as far as like energy-wise, like you said, if you have a good crew that knows how and when to talk. Because otherwise, if you just have 4 people or 5 or 6 interrupting each other, then it's just a clusterfuck at that point, where it's a pain in the ass to edit, and you can't understand what each other is saying, whether it's clever or you're just talking about regular shit on the podcast, because then it just becomes a nightmare to try and decipher like who's talking when and try and figure that stuff out.
I also think it's important to, like, just perfect example for Ain't Saying Much is I just pick my friends. They're not necessarily members of the community, but I was like, these guys are funny, or at least I can make them seem funny. So Jason is funny. He's a funny
Edit
dude.
them to be funny.
Yeah, Jason and I will
That's a
fight and
thing.
argue on the podcast all the time, and people love it because I'm usually the dumb one who doesn't win. So
Jonathan made a good point about knowing when to share energy and knowing when to kind of fall back a little bit. Because, like I said, we had 6 voices last week. It was last week, right? Yeah, last week, week and a half ago, and 2 of them were like recurring guests, so like rotating cast members. So there were points where we just sort of deferred to them, since they're not always on. We are, so we kind of deferred to them and let them make the funnies.
No, keep going.
And so like we would just kind of take turns interacting, and everyone just kind of had a rhythm by that point. My podcast just turned 6
Absolutely.
months, by the way, and yeah. By the time you reach that point, everyone knows when to say something, when to fall back, when someone's passionate about something, then you kind of let them talk. You don't try to interrupt them with some stupid little joke, because you're kind of interrupting the flow of the conversation, unless you're certain that the joke will go well. But this guy,
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Carry on.
speaking
Joseph,
of stupid little jokes,
Joseph, I love you.
yeah,
Joseph,
I love you.
I love you. All
Yeah.
right.
So next part, picking a cast continued. Who do you choose for your cast? That's a big deal. Like, it's not as easy as you'd think, because you have to consider the following factors. How well do you know each person? How will the group mesh? You can't just be like, okay, well, this person's kind of popular, and this person's kind of popular, and I think this person's kind of cool. You get together, and nobody's really sharing the mic at all.
You find out they're all dicks. And you don't want to work with them.
listen,
No,
hey, man,
you always find that out.
talked about this.
Dedication to the project. Andres, anything about that?
I can talk
My
to
friends
that
are assholes.
Yeah?
one.
We're all assholes though.
So I can definitely talk to this one as far as dedication to the project, because I think it's really, really important when you do get people that want to be on the podcast, that they're just as passionate about it as you are. Because if you're the only one who's passionate about it, and then you've got like 2 or 3 other friends that could just really care less about it and just kind of show up here and there, it's just not. They're not going to have the investment in it like you do. It's not going to be as fun, because then you're just running around trying to chase them down to try and get them to be in it and as excited as you are about it. So
There's a big deal in that as well, because you don't want someone coming in thinking that this is going to immediately have 1,000 subscribers.
Right.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
You
It
want
starts
someone-
hella slow.
Yeah, you want someone who's willing to just keep recording even with 5 views a week, because it's important that you have fun and that you're there to have fun. And that's something we'll talk about later. Were you going to say something?
I mean, it's like whenever I started, my podcast, it took me 2 years to come up with a name, just to begin with. And you can ask anybody who is my friend; they're just like, "Fucking pick a name, do something." And I was like, "No, it's not good enough." And you just have to have people who love the name and are associated with it, and they do want to do. Yes, we're drawing lots.
No, just don't worry about it.
It's
Seriously, don't worry about it.
you just want to find people who are going to be dedicated to it, whether it succeeds or fails. Because if it fails, you fail as a group, and if it succeeds, you succeed as a group.
But that's the
most
thing. There's no
important thing.
such thing as a failure, as long as everyone's there to keep having fun.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, if you're having fun, then it's a different story. Yeah. But you can fail.
It's
all of you
something
can.
you just
No, I'm
have to. You have to keep telling yourself that why you're doing it. You're doing it for your friends. You get to hang out for an hour or two every week, and it's great. There are very few people that I talk to more than Obo and Jack, because of it's our regular meeting time. It's our time to hang out and geek out about shit.
It's the great thing about, like, you pick a cast of people you're close with, you have a rapport with, or you think that you could eventually be close with and have a rapport with, and it just strengthens as you go. You get to know each other, you get to know how everyone talks and what makes everyone tick, what makes them mad.
I don't make anyone mad ever.
And before
I
you,
have never pissed anyone off, as far as I know.
sure, yeah. And before you know it, you're like best
happening
friends.
now.
And you may not have been when you started out, but by the end of it, you're inviting each other to each other's weddings and that kind of thing, and you can't imagine not spending time with them every week. You want people who are in it to have fun, because it doesn't matter who's listening as long as you're having fun. If you're just there to, like, okay, in a month, if we're not at 1,000 subscribers, we're done. There's no point in even trying. And the same advice comes from all the success story YouTubers, to do it because you love it, not because you want to hit it big, because there's a lot that goes into, quote, hitting it big. And if you're not having fun, it's never going to happen. So let's go to intended demographic, because you need to ask yourself some questions. What topics will we cover? That determines who's going to listen. If you're going to cover multiple topics, what's your primary focus? It doesn't have to be set in stone when you're starting out, but you need to eventually kind of figure out who's listening and just kind of balance everything. Who do you want to appeal to? Not everyone has to. What?
Nothing. Go on.
I
Pay
mean,
no attention to me.
none of this has to be ever set in stone,
Ignore me.
but it's always something to have in your head. Who do I want to listen? Who's actually listening? Does that line up? Is there things we're talking about that are bringing people in? Are there things we're talking about that are kind of turning people off, like Tumblr? So the RT community demographic is not just one demographic. So, like,
I'm sorry. What were you saying?
was that good?
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's fine. Keep going.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people you'll start out, you'll be like, we're a Rooster Teeth community podcast. We all are. There's a lot of Rooster Teeth community podcasts, so it's obviously not one demographic. You can break it down into a lot of sub-demographics because it's such a huge community. Because first off, your network, usually tied to like how long you've been on the site or who you know and that kind of thing, they're most likely to listen to your podcast and be on your podcast. Glibshark, how long have this Glibby Sharkies been around on the site? Like 10 years, longer? And that's...
Could Jack Edithel answer that question for me?
Okay, I've been a member of the UGT site since 2004.
Damn.
And we've been doing Glibshark since 2006.
And
Yeah.
we've been live most of that time. We did live before a lot of other people did live. Boom.
So you guys picked up a core audience at that point probably, and then you've built your audience through the years of all kinds of people. Like, just go look at the people in their Rooster Teeth group. It's just all kinds of different demographics covered there because they've been around so long. But with the newer podcasts, you're early on going to be reaching people that you know and people that they know and people that in that network. What interests you appeal to will determine who is interested in listening. So live streaming crowd. You guys live stream a lot, your games. You guys, that's part of your network. And that's a big deal.
Yes.
Because if people are into that, that brings people in. Hardcore gamers or casual gamers. You guys are always doing Destiny raids and stuff.
We try.
Yeah.
Hardcore.
It's hardcore.
One of these days we'll figure out how to do Hearthstone, and we'll do like Tavern Balls and
Awesome.
stuff.
Oh, dude, I'll join you. I got that.
Okay, cool.
Dude, yeah. So,
League of
comic
Legends
book
too, man.
fans, my podcast covers a lot of...
Turn the mic off.
One of our primary topics is like comic book movies and that kind of thing. And so when we had Escalante on the first time, he was just like, dude, I'm like the biggest comic book nerd ever.
Which is not true.
Yes, it is.
There's some people here that are way bigger nerds than me. I'm sure.
Anybody is a bigger nerd
Just
than
at
him?
RTX though.
Yeah, just at RTX. Right there.
DuckTales.
See?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, one about the Marvel movie. I feel like I have to call this out.
Uh-oh.
It is a gigantic subject on our show. like just every single time a Marvel movie comes out, we talk about it. Even when there's not a Marvel movie immediately, there's always something on the horizon. I feel like it dominates our show because it's awesome. But I don't think we're alone in that. I think it dominates everyone's show. But I just it was actually something I noticed last year when Avengers came out. We just did not stop talking about the Marvel movies that were, the Marvel movies that are there, and then the Marvel movies that are to come.
Yeah, all the speculation and everything.
Our discussion of which stone was which before they actually named which one one was which.
Would you say that those were marvelous?
I
No.
Thank you. Thank
Yes. Keep drinking. Keep drinking.
Party foul.
Anybody listen to the Film Geek Army?
Yeah.
Yeah, they appeal to like the TV and movie enthusiasts, but then again with Marvel, like there's so much to talk about just in that area.
fucking hell, the TV.
Yeah,
the TV,
TV
shit.
shows, and so
yeah.
you can really appeal to people that are passionate about that, if that's your thing. So let's move on to.
Oh my God, that is fancy.
Whoa.
Say what?
Dude, it's like season 13 of RVB.
I put out a feeler a few months ago on the Rooster Teeth site.
He feeled you.
No. And I
Why is
asked,
Bitblender way at the bottom of that list?
it's chronological.
It's chronological.
Oh, all right.
I'm just happy Ain't Saying Much is above player 4.
That's why we're at the top.
Oh, shot shooted.
This was everyone who responded to my feeler. There's more, but this is the 10 that responded. This is how many podcasts that there are in the Rooster Teeth community, and there's probably more. And you can see there's all kinds of ages on the podcast and all kinds of different things. Like Shizno podcast is just red versus blue speculation, and they have a following. And it's just it's a lot of podcasts. We're not competing in any way. We're a network. We support each other. We go on podcasts. We go on panels together. We have each
You
other
are
on
absolutely
podcasts.
competing. Anyone out there looking to get podcast started, you're absolutely competing.
Get wrecked.
So let's talk about format, because I mentioned that and it's cryptic, but you can decipher it. The topics you typically discuss are a big part of your format. I'm not talking clear-cut pieces. I'm talking about what do you want to talk about, because format will determine a lot of things. How do you organize your episode? You can have clear-cut segments. I know on my podcast we have a few segments that we kind of get to. Like we always start with a segment where we can correct each other on previous episodes called "And Another Thing," a reference to Hitchhiker's Guide. And then we have other things. We have like improv games and stuff that we usually try to do one of each episode. You can have free-form discussion, which most people will, but usually it's good to have a combination. Lauren, what's your segment called?
It's called This Week in Geek.
This Week in Geek for the stream.
Awesome
Yes.
name.
It started off as a warm-up for everybody and a way to get the guests in. I just talk while Jenny would get the guests in, and now it's just, hey, here's a bunch of topics we can talk about later.
It's really nice to have something to start the podcast off with, or else you're just kind of, well, are we starting? What are we going to talk about?
We do that anyway, and we still have Lauren.
gonna
I
say
know,
that, yeah.
I know.
That basically happens after I do the clap sync, and then we start talking about shit. I'm like, wait, hold on, did we start yet?
I actually started that was something I started doing on purpose because I would always do the opening music and then the introductions. But what I found was that the cold opens can often be really funny, especially if we're having problems. And and things are going wrong.
Bitblender had a thing where Ken was just like, I've got the clap and I'm giving it to you. I've got the clap and I'm giving it to you. And I was just like, what? Woo! We're funny guys, man.
It's ironic because the next thing is pacing.
Very important.
Are you rapid fire? Are you more relaxed? Can you do a mix? Does it matter on the episode? An atmosphere. I mean, is it very laid back? Is it like passionate? You know, there's all kinds of things about that. And
They're yelling. Do you get angry at each other? Do you use
Plenty of
curse
yelling.
words?
Do you have music at the beginning or the end?
Oh yeah.
You got to think about that. They have Bitblender has an intro song that they also play at the end with credits. My podcast has an intro, but we don't actually have credits at the end. So we just have like a fade to black, and then like 5 seconds later, us just messing around for a few seconds, or like Haley ripping her pants.
God, I wish she was here. She'd be so mad at you.
I'm sure she would love that topic of conversation.
Tell her not to watch this.
Stop the internet right now.
Can I steal this?
Stop the internet.
Can I steal
Go
this?
ahead.
Yay.
Yeah, you're a panelist, man.
I don't know why you asked me.
Do you want some crackers?
Episode length. Let's
I'm good.
Let's
Okay.
get through
I've got
episode length real
crackers
quick. So, your ideal episode length also says a lot about your intended audience because of who can listen to what length. So, short episodes appeal to a casual listener. Who listens to a podcast that's like 10 to 20 minutes long? Like with like one or two people. Yeah. There's one with Magic, The Gathering, which is by one of the developers, and it's called Drive to Work Podcast. A few people nodding their heads. And that one you can listen to on your way to work because it was recorded on the way to work. Medium length episodes, 30 to 40 minutes is where I kind of try to be, and you can listen to that during work commutes or like in a short sitting at the computer. What's your typical length?
About an hour.
About an hour.
Yeah, we start on and stop off the hour, so we go over or we come under a little, but that's generally how it is. And then depending on the topic, our spoiler cast and butt cast can be anywhere from 15 minutes to a couple hours.
Breaking Bad.
There was a lot to be said about that one, and it's funny because we gave that one a lot of time, and then the most recent one we did for Ant-Man, we specifically said we're not going to take too long with this because lol Ant-Man, and yeah, it's small. So
I get it.
I see what you did there.
But what happened was it just so happened that Jack and I finished season 2 of BoJack Horseman at around the same time. So not only did we do Ant-Man spoilers, like rapid fire real quick, we also talked about BoJack Horseman. And then when we got into the episode, Lauren was a little bit late. So she had come in at the end of our talking about BoJack Horseman. And so in the episode, which we wanted to keep spoiler free, we were like, oh, sorry, Lauren, we can't talk about spoilers because we're live and this movie just came out this weekend. She's like, oh. So by her force of will, she held us hostage and made us stay an extra 20 minutes after we stopped streaming so we could talk spoilers. It was delightful, though. It was great.
Did you upload that separately?
Yeah, all of that stuff is on our Buttcast stream, which you can find at clipshark.com.
Do you need an outlet for that plug?
I've got a couple, yeah. That would be great.
I'll
Thank you.
take that one.
Do you have a battery?
Okay, so going back to episode length. With medium length episodes, 30 to 40 minutes, the pro is rapid fire discussion. And you figure that out really quick if you're doing a short episode like that. You have to do rapid fire discussion because you've got to move from topic to topic. And it's not necessarily a bad thing because of pacing. Not as much time to discuss some topics. If you really want to get on the soapbox about something, that's going to be the episode for the most part. But then, and you try to limit the amount of topics you talk about if that's a problem.
Yeah, there's been so many times when basically what we do is we have a Google Doc that all of us contribute to throughout the week because we do a bi-weekly podcast because one of our guys, being that he's in the UK, there's that time difference. But when we do a bi-weekly podcast, we'll have 2 weeks of stuff in a Google Doc that we all contribute to. And then about an hour before we start streaming or start recording, we actually have to go through and be like, okay, so we're not going to have enough time to talk about this. We're not going to have time. And we just basically cut through a lot of the extra stuff that we have and just kind of pick the most important stuff because otherwise we'd have a fucking 2-hour long podcast.
Couldn't talk about Ant-Man, but we could talk about twerking butt sex toys.
Well, listen, all right?
And twerking.
Pornhub is very important, all right? People want to hear about that stuff. Not everyone already knows about Ant-Man. Not a lot of people know about that twerking
He's a guy that
sex toy.
turns into the size of an ant. Good game.
Right.
That's it. End of
But
story.
do you guys want to hear about a twerking
Spoilers.
butt sex toy, or do you want to hear about Ant-Man?
I'm just saying.
Come on. Thank you. All right.
Okay,
Do I have a surprise for you, sir?
you're killing me, guys. Let's go. So hour-long episodes, as you said, they're kind of the standard for podcasting. I mean, when Rooster Teeth used to care about length, that was what their length was. More time for discussion, just open round table discussion. It makes it harder for communities to listen, but you can just sit at your computer and just listen and do other stuff. Longer episodes, 1.5 hours to 2 hours, for example, Buttcast.
Occasionally, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a big commitment for a casual listener. But if someone's like zoning out and playing a video game, they get to listen to long, in-depth discussions like the longer RT podcast episodes. things like Minecraft, real-time strategy games, if you really want to spend some time, or Bloodborne, because you die a lot. So, BitBlender, what's your ideal length?
About 7 inches. I'm sorry, are we talking about podcast still? No, we usually try and do settle down.
I'm sorry,
settle
Bonnie.
down.
To be fair, he's the one that had acceptable lengths and hardness in the same sentence. Just saying.
No, I mean, initially we were doing like just over an hour as far as podcast length goes. But
Fuck that right up. You're welcome.
But we're trying to shorten it down because we realize that the attention span of a normal person watching YouTube is not exactly going to be an hour and 20 minutes.
That's a really good point. Like, once they see that length, the hour,
They're like,
20
fuck
minute
that.
length.
They're like, I'll
no.
watch Game Grumps for you know
Yeah.
15 minutes. I'm all set.
Or maybe I'll
Thanks.
just like skip through 1, 2,
Yeah.
3.
Shout out
4.
to Game Grumps.
Sure.
Come to our panel.
Hi, Game Grumps.
But no, like I think we've started to shorten it down to, depending on the amount of shit that I have to go through on video editing on Adobe Premiere. Usually we end up having like an hour of stuff. I ended up cutting it down to about 45 minutes, something like
That's
that.
actually a really good point. We're going to get to editing,
Oh
and
my
that's
God,
a big
so
part
much
of
editing.
it.
So
Skipping
much
ahead,
editing.
man.
I hope you guys have patience for editing. That'll be the
Yeah.
next thing.
This is gonna get
Or the willing to learn patience, because how do you learn patience?
You don't.
Situations
You're born
that
with it or you don't
force
have
you
it.
to be patient. What's your ideal length on Ain't Saying Much?
I mean, we go what, about an hour, 45 minutes to an hour and a half. I think the longest
Yeah.
I've ever done is like an hour and 45. So
So other content that directs traffic to your podcast. See, that's what it said.
they bounce.
You do live streams aside from the podcast. You guys are often doing it. BitBlender, that's part of their format. Is their other programming is live streams. On my podcast, Haley has been live streaming for a while. I just started live streaming, and I make sure that there's information about the podcast on there, but it's not like officially scheduled or anything. Gaming videos, that's actually our big thing. We've been doing a lot of Minecraft stuff, and it goes to our channel, and it brings in traffic and cross promotion.
We need to put all these pictures that we're drawing up somewhere.
They're up right here.
Okay.
We'll figure it out.
You guys can come to the front and just look. And then other content, just all kinds of stuff. You guys did machinima for the, you guys had a machinima that was at the community content thing on Thursday.
Yeah, it was something I made a couple of years ago, and it was a lot of fun to do. By far, the best part of it was getting voices from my friends. I had, if you stayed for the credits, you heard a gentleman named Travis Yakovich, aka Traviak, and he's one of our friends. Woo! He knocked it out the park with his part, but I wanted him to get me some death sounds, some death gurgles of
Oh
Bruce
yeah,
dying.
the end of the video.
So he sent me 10 minutes of death gurgles, and it was one of the I nearly died. It was one of the funniest things I've ever heard, and I had to include just a little of it at the end there. It was so much
Number
fun.
one selling metal album ever.
Oh my God!
Death
That's our next project.
Can you give me?
I'll put it to a beat.
Can you give me that? I'll put it to a beat myself.
Yeah, I'll see what I've got. I'll find it.
Community contest, maybe.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. This is entirely optional to have other content that cross promotes with your podcast, but it's something to consider. As you spend more time with the folks on your podcast, you end up playing games with each other. You might as well share that with the public.
It's like ain't saying much. We don't do any of that.
You don't do
at all.
much.
We're just
Yeah,
like,
you ain't-
you get a
you
podcast
ain't
once a
doing
week
much
if you're
either.
lucky.
So let's be real quick with this so we can get to questions. So the next part is actually starting your podcast. So you need audio. And
Wait,
you gotta
what?
choose
You've never done a silent podcast before?
with like shadow puppets, right?
Yeah.
They are
Where you put up the
great.
words that you're saying? It's just
Yeah, and then like stride piano.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of different ways to do this. There's the multi-track method, which looks like this.
That looks insane.
Yeah.
it's fun.
Andres, that was when you were on the first time.
Oh God, man, I fucked you guys over.
It's the loudest one, the loudest track
it's
that's
the
on
loud
this,
one.
Yeah.
He's in the middle. We had him sandwiched.
Yeah, they did.
But editing that episode, just part one of two, took me over a workday.
Oh God, that was the first time you guys had to do a 2-part episode because I
That's because my
talked
computer was
forever.
in the shop, so I had to do a 5-track. And it's more complicated. It takes a lot longer, but it's very, very good quality. I'm going to give you guys a sample here of the quality of what you can accomplish with
Professor
multitrack.
Milk.
Because we already talked about people talking over each other. That's not a thing in multitrack, because you have the magic of moving sound bites around and organizing the conversation. So this is an organized conversation.
And you're going to have kids just like you. I don't have to curse my kids.
Sometimes I wish I could take you back to the hospital.
Does this gift come with a receipt?
No, I do not say those things. To
I
my
don't
kids.
like this kid. Can I trade it in for a better one?
I'm just leasing this one. In a couple of years, I'll get a better one, newer.
Can I get a trial period, money back guarantee?
This is starting to sound like scenes from a hat.
So
Are you sure I was on that one? I don't remember that at all.
I didn't hear
Yes,
his voice
you
at
were.
all
Yeah.
in that one.
He took out the brown guy.
this is Andres.
True. And you're going to have
Let's
Oh, you're
solo
just
you.
laughing like a fucking girl. That's all that was.
Someone's gonna make that their text tone.
And
That's you.
Yeah, that's it. I'm literally just fucking laughing at these guys.
I'm glad you could contribute to that. That was
Well,
really
okay.
important.
First of all, so they're all talking, and I'm like, well, I don't want to interrupt because I don't want to skip over any tracks. And then Joseph's like, dude, just talk over it. I'll take care of it.
Yeah,
And I was like, well, I wish I would have known that. Thanks.
that is the beauty of multitrack, but this is not the beauty of multitrack. Taking and we'll get to that. Monotrack though looks like this.
It's a shit
So
story.
yeah,
Basically.
yeah, and it's less complicated, but and it doesn't take as long. And if you know what you're doing, you're not sacrificing too much quality.
Which means I sacrifice all the quality.
Okay.
This sounds like this the whole time.
And then another thing we'll touch on is their video. So recording audio, real quick. There's a lot of ways to do it. In person, Andres, the way that you guys do it, using Audacity
room.
or a high dollar equivalent multi-track in person. Recording through Audacity while in a Skype call, that's the way that we did our multi-track because it's the only way we can do that from Skype. Or the way that we typically do it, which is Skype call through Audacity. Is that right? Or
Yeah, that's how we do
yeah,
it.
Yeah. And then the host has to have two computers. He walked me through it when we started off because the host computer is recording it and probably hosting the call, and then you're on another computer talking in the mic. But there's ways to get around that. But if you do it that way, you need to have Realtek stereo mix because then that's everything that goes to the speakers also goes through Audacity as the microphone.
Until it fucks you.
Sure.
Stereo, no, it's stereo mix. I can't use anymore. There is a weird issue going on with my computer, and if you've been at some of my other panels, you've probably heard it. The little whining that happens when I plug it in. There is something broken. And so I finally had to buy one of those little tiny USB sound cards. And so now I have just a male-to-male stereo cable going from one end to the other.
It's legal
so
now.
So essentially the speakers are going into the mic, and now it works fine. It's just I can't use stereo mix anymore. But it's another solution. It was just something we had to work through.
Yeah, there's actually ways to get around this whole this approach because Ken does something that actually is a good idea. But you can use streaming software.
Actually is a good
Ooh,
idea.
I have a good idea. What?
You use a streaming software to record your audio.
Do.
So we'll get to that. Find what works for you. That's what's important. Multi-track, monotrack, record through Audacity in person, record through Audacity multi-track, record straight one track to Audacity from Skype. It's just whatever you have time for. So if you do video, is it an in-person video podcast? Because a long time ago, who remembers the RT podcast when they did a few video podcasts?
Yup.
And like Jeff and Griffin were there. That dates it. And they're like, they had the bucket with the drinks in it, and they had like a filter on it. And it allows viewers to see the action, harder for listeners to understand what's going on. So know that in advance when you're thinking about where you're going to put this. It's near impossible to make audio cuts, Ken.
Yeah, 'cause everything is in context to what's actually happening. So everything is timed with the actual video that you're doing. So if you have video with the audio, you can't just re-splice everything and move everyone around because it's going to be in time with the actual video that you have.
There's one way to get around it. If you're doing like high quality people sitting at a table with multiple cameras, then you can just cut from camera to camera whenever there's an audio cut. So that's the way to get around it. Skype with webcams is the blender way.
Yeah.
And you experienced that it's hard to make the cuts, but you finally just sucked it up and did it, I noticed.
Yeah, we ended we ended up changing it up a little bit in that when Bonnie and I are actually recording our end, so we actually are recording Audacity for our audio, and then I'm able to sync it up with our video through my streaming software.
Guys, when you're editing Skype calls, no matter where it's coming from, remember that everyone is hearing things at a half-second delay, and
Or
that gets
more
really
sometimes.
difficult in gaming videos if you're
Yeah.
recording Skype, because then like you have to line up the gaming videos themselves, not the audio, because it's never going to be synced exactly because there's that half-second delay. So you've got the same advantages, disadvantages as in person, and then Skype without webcams, you show pictures of what you're talking about. That's the way that I do it. That's the way that Glibby Sharky does it. Oh, more pictures.
It's family friendly.
And it's
There's
a
no
nice
dick
way to
on
do
The
it.
only one.
What we do on Player 4 Podcast, we just have our pictures and our names under it in our usernames on the website, and then it'll just go to pictures of what we're talking about. So you can also have no video. It's your call. You
Yeah,
can-
like Ain't Saying Much has no video. Just
Yeah,
because I'm ugly.
You can just upload to SoundCloud, or you could go to YouTube. You could have a black screen.
Aw.
Okay, Player 4 Podcast. We record a Skype call on Audacity using a second computer, edit raw audio in Audacity. It takes about 2 hours. That's it. You take out background sounds, you do noise removal, de-essing, and all that. Takes about 4 times as long as the episode itself to edit, as opposed to doing multi-track, which takes as long as you're willing to spend. But that's the way that I do multi-track, is like using Google Drive. And then video editing is in Adobe Premiere. I put thumbnails of the cast, and I switch to relevant pictures. Lip Shark?
So
Insert text here.
yeah, insert text.
Yeah.
Our process is we hop on a Skype call and then we start recording on our host computer, so we get that audio. We've actually started streaming on Twitch, and one of the nice things about that is that the Open Broadcaster software allows for a slideshow, so we can have relevant pictures for what we're talking about, and so it doesn't always necessarily sync up, but at least it's a visual element that we can have out there. And then if there's other fun stuff that we do, then we do that. After we're all done, I save it. I used to use Audition for my audio, but when we started doing streaming for Destiny, I found that Audition was a little bit CPU intensive. So when you started getting massive action on the screen, that would take away. So I actually went back to Audacity to do the audio because it's a little less intensive. After that, I finish up. I export the MP3. I make it all nice. I give it a little logo and stuff, and there's some metadata in there. And then I upload that. And the other nice thing about Twitch is that you can, for YouTube, you can go in and make a highlight, cut the highlight, send it straight to YouTube. I used to have to use Premiere for YouTube stuff. I don't anymore. I just kick it off, and by the time I get to work, there's already an alert that Glipshark has a new YouTube video. So it's very nice, and that's depending on the episode, that takes anywhere from 15 to 30 minutes. And so I last couple of weeks I've been doing it in between Iron Banner matches.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Ken actually gave me stuff.
God, I wrote so much shit on there.
The last couple of weeks have been kind of a blur. I'm sorry.
There's this convention I had to get prepared for, and a panel, which I didn't get prepared for.
Oh God! All right.
Yeah, I
so
didn't have a panel to prepare for.
Why is the font so small?
Because you sent me a wall of text and I cut it down.
So I already talked about the Google Doc. Yeah, so I use Open Broadcaster software to actually do the video capture. So when we do a Skype call, I'm capturing Andres and I'm capturing Deco in the call. And basically, I have a dual monitor setup. So one of the monitors is handling the whole Skype call. So I can capture their video, put it into Open Broadcast. It captures their audio and their video. Then I have...
Real quick.
Yeah.
Open Broadcast software, which is the free Twitch streaming software, you don't have to be streaming.
Right, you can actually set it to record, and you can set what format you want it to record in. So I'll do like MP4 or something like that for the actual video recording part. So what we'll do is we'll do the call, it's recording it. I'll have Audacity set up on the other monitor to record Bonnie and I talking while Open Broadcast is actually recording the video. So the only thing I really have to sync when we actually do the audio editing in Adobe Premiere is just syncing the audio that we have with the video that's already been recorded. Andres and Deco are already taken care of as far as the recording goes. So the only thing I have to sync up is just our audio at that point. And then once it's lined up, then I'm just going through and, I mean, Andres is pretty fucking boring just between the two of us.
That's
but,
very true.
I mean, we got to cut a lot of that shit out. So what happens is we end up editing a lot of that out and just trying to like shorten it as much as we can because nobody wants to sit there for an hour and 20 minutes going through.
Listening to Andres.
Yeah, nobody wants
Exactly.
that.
I mean, I don't even know why he's here, to be honest. But
I'm gonna go.
no, I love you. I love you.
What are you, my dad?
There's a point I really want to touch on. If you're trying to keep a certain length on your episodes, not everything that gets said has to stay in the episode. If you're trying to focus on flow of conversation, then often you're cutting like 10 minutes from the episode, and you know that while you're recording, you're like, okay, well, this is probably going to get cut. And so you just find the point where the next part starts, and you put it together. But it's important to know you don't have to delete that information. You can save those conversations as riffs and put those up for like special guests or like have like a special link for people that are close to the podcast or like sponsors of some kind and that kind of thing. You can save all those crappy conversations or all those off-color jokes that you don't really want to have in the episode.
Color. I see what you did there.
Off-color, you.
White people.
All right. I see how it is.
I'm off. I'm out of here.
Was there anything else about your thing?
The only other thing that I do, aside from the audio editing aspect, is with the video, I like to have Deco actually has it set up. There's a separate window in the podcast that I can put like picture captures to talk about, like if we're talking about Ant-Man, for example, we'll have a picture of like the trailer from Ant-Man or something like that. So then I kind of have to scrub through the Adobe Premiere as far as what we talk about so that I can line it up and time it with when we're talking about certain aspects during our podcast. So that way it lines up with everything. But I mean, I would say all in all, from start to finish, maybe probably 4 hours, I would say, to get everything finally edited and then exporting. So here's where the patience come in, is when you're using any kind of program like audio, like Adobe Premiere, and then you're exporting your audio, especially if it's like an hour long of audio and video, you need patience for that because exporting alone is going to take forever as far as getting that out. So just be prepared for that. For you guys that haven't actually started doing that, it takes a while to export that to a format that you can upload to YouTube.
Remember that thing that Bernie said one time? He didn't want to watch a highlight of his life because there's too many progress bars.
Yep.
Yes.
That's part of it.
Yep.
Real quickly, Andres, can your guy talk to us a little bit about
Well,
his
Jason,
process?
he didn't want to come up here, so he can tell me if I'm wrong or not, and I'll probably be wrong. So as far as audio goes, I can tell you guys that. I mean, we're gonna start using Audacity because Ain't Saying Much is coming back, so we're gonna be back. We're gonna take over BitBlender. They're gonna be part of Ain't Saying.
What?
Let me scoot over. No, we're gonna come back. We're gonna start. What? People like us. Yeah, it's weird. So Ain't Saying Much is gonna be coming back. We're gonna be using Audacity.
BitBlender will actually be buying Ain't Saying Much podcast.
Dude, if I'm getting paid for
merged.
it, then yes, we're done. No, we're gonna be using Audacity. We record in the same room all together. I have a very fancy mic, and the rest of them just get pieces of shit mics, just because I like to talk. And I mean, like it's the same stuff for us, just without video. As far as how we release our podcast, though, we have a website. It's a not great one, and Mr. Mosick over there is the one who made it, and it looks very nice, and I love it. And it's like his baby and my baby. And we have our RSS feed that Jason also set up, because I don't do anything but talk on the podcast.
I don't even know what an RSS feed is.
Okay, so an RSS feed is...
I know what it is. I just want you to explain it to the audience for those who may not know what it is.
Okay, you want to get to that? Okay, so we'll get to that in a second. But no, I mean, look, I just talk. Jason's the one who does everything.
Jason, how long does it take you to edit and upload?
He doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, Jeremy was the one who edited it for us. Basically what he does is he sits down for an hour, listens to the podcast, and then he sits down for another hour, and then he listens to the podcast.
Let's move on. So publishing online, that's pretty important. Where do you upload? YouTube, great place to go because people are always looking for things to watch and listen to on YouTube. SoundCloud.
There we go, that's the one.
Yeah. If there's audio, you need to be on SoundCloud. And then Twitch archives I mean, if you stream, you can also just leave the raw video on Twitch as an archive, and then other websites. Do you put it on iTunes? Do you promote on social media? You should. So, first off, where do you upload? YouTube, especially if there's video. It doesn't. You could put it on YouTube just as a blank screen, but there kind of needs to be something visually interesting about it to retain an audience on YouTube. SoundCloud, as long as it's not video dependent and it's got sound and waves and things and not shadow puppetry, it needs to be on SoundCloud. On SoundCloud, you can get 3 hours of free storage, and as you go, it'll ask you to delete previous episodes.
It's $15 a month.
Yeah. So if that's something you're willing to pay money for. Other websites, you guys are on
TalkShoe.
And aren't you also on Tumblr?
That's where we like. That's where our stuff is accessible, but we don't actually store anything on Tumblr.
Okay,
All of
yeah.
our storage is on TalkShoe.
And you mentioned TalkShoe, so it's on here. You can build an audience using iTunes. You don't have to be on iTunes, but people are searching for podcasts on iTunes and they find yours. So the files need to be hosted somewhere else. Something about RSS feeds, XML files, all of that. So yeah, you need to be able to link to your RSS feed. And SoundCloud gives you an option to have an RSS feed, but again, that requires the $15 a month. You guys use TalkShoe.
That's in beta too. I think the last time I checked that RSS feed, is it out of beta already?
Last I checked, it had issues.
And it sucks.
I didn't bother you.
Yeah. I mean, SoundCloud, I love you.
Gotta love betas.
He recommends TalkShoe for a good free option for hosting that you can get an RSS feed from. It appeals to people who have to download on their phone.
Really?
They can't just stream. They need to download it while they're on Wi-Fi because they don't want to use their data usage. But there's an alternative to that. My podcast actually has a direct download link to Google Drive, and that's where they just download from. So promotion on social media.
Facebook, Twitter,
Must-haves.
Twitch,
Twitter.
things like that.
Facebook. Other options. Rooster Teeth Group.
Zanga.
Although at the
You
moment
got one of those.
MySpace, LiveJournal.
Yeah.
LiveJournal is so
BlackPeopleMeet.com.
Dude, MySpace is coming back. Just so you guys know.
You need to make sure that you
Justin Timberlake.
when you upload to or you use MySpace, you need to make sure that whatever your logo is extra sparkly.
Yep.
Yeah.
If it's not a sparkly,
You need to have music play the moment they get on the page.
exactly.
And it needs to be some sort of
Under construction.
something to bear in mind if you start a Rooster Teeth Group is right now the site's a little bit broken on that way because when you post something, it'll post as you and it'll be on your profile. So just bear that in mind. It's not
all
gonna
your
post
fault.
as your group. You just need to make sure that they know that you're posting as your group.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Totally your fault.
Joseph's
Yeah.
the one who planned all this, so.
Yeah, of course. Audience engagement. You need to get. We talked about this at length on a Skype call preparing for this. We actually did prepare one time.
Sort of.
You want to
did?
If you want to engage your audience, first off, there's actually a tutorial on YouTube. It's not a video; it's text, and they have tips on how to engage your audience. And you want to get listeners involved in the creative process, choosing topics for discussion, having a hand in the creation of content. As you get enough listeners, you could even do like fan art things, charity events. You can get involved in those. That's the big thing that SideQuest does. And if you get a chance to get involved in something, then do it.
Shout out to SideQuest.
It's like we did what was it? What did we do last year, Jason? Extra Life 24-hour live stream, which I was part of maybe 12 hours of that at best.
I'm
was
not saying
asleep.
this as like, oh yeah, do it
slacker.
because
I was.
I'm not saying this is like a promotion thing. Oh yeah, do charity events because people, they'll listen to you.
No,
It's
but it's
something
fun.
you want as an organization to do, and it will reflect well on you as a group. Another thing is that you want to have opportunities for listeners to call in if your podcast recorded live. My podcast has a thing now where once a month we have a stream. We don't usually stream. We have a stream once a month now where people can call in, and we usually get like our rotating cast calling in and that kind of thing. Matt was watching our most recent one from work. So the focus is to what? Have fun.
Woo, fun.
So choose something that works for you. Don't choose what you think is going to make it perfect and get you 1,000 views. Choose what works for you. Because you need to choose something that's sustainable in the long run. Because this is not a job. It's not a chore. It's a passion.
That's the most important thing. Is the moment it becomes a job, the
Then-
moment you feel
yeah.
like, oh God, I have to podcast
Yeah.
today. It's done.
So-
And you don't want that at
Yeah,
all.
you
If
need, you need
you-
to stop if it becomes.
If you realize that you're overambitious, then Make the episode shorter. Record it bi-weekly.
Yeah.
Make the recording method easier to edit. Something so you can get the content out. And if you're having fun, like we're having fun here, the people listening will have fun. That's what we've been trying to demonstrate to you today.
Why's that guy in the back asleep? Wake up.
It's a Guardian.
Stop checking your Tinder account.
We have a... Swipe. He's not picky. Thank you. Nice shirt. Yeah,
So-
the
so this
RT
panel-
Australia shirt.
So now.
Okay, we have
do
like
any of you
4
have
minutes for questions, and then you can talk to us afterward as well. But they're gonna kick us out in a little bit
Not me.
with like a cane
Don't talk to me.
and like Scott
Like a cattle prod.
So, any questions about anything related to this?
How did you guys get a theme song? Like, did you have someone make it for you? Or
I wrote it.
He's a
Yeah,
musician.
I wrote the theme song for Bitblender.
So the thing that we did for Ain't Saying Much is we're really big on our community. So we'll get local bands who want to get out there, and what we'll do is we'll play 20-second snippet of their song at the beginning of our podcast as an intro, and then at the end we play the full song. That way, hey, this is the band. If you want to listen to them, awesome. This is where you can find them. If not, just you don't have to listen to the ending.
Well, aren't you helpful?
We are, okay? We're quite kind.
Our theme song was written by an individual named Linnea Boyev, and we combined that with a voice actor named Bob Ball who does our intro. And occasionally, and I do have permission from Nico to do this, we will use Trocadero stuff.
Nice.
Nice. So someone gave me a question. How long did it generally take each of you to garner establish an audience? Oh man.
What?
How long did it take each of you to get an audience essentially?
Okay,
we have an audience?
Let's just go down the line then. We kind of established our core audience of like 5 to 10 people that we could expect to listen to every episode within the first few weeks or so.
I'm one of them.
Because I harassed you guys. I was like, here, listen to this episode that we recorded that we referred to as episode 0. We never put online in its full glory.
Mm-hmm.
It became episode 2 when I cut down 20 minutes from it.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we came out with our first and second episode, third episode, I was like, guys, hey, you guys, you listen to our thing. You should listen to this. And so I just kind of harassed people trying to get feedback. And then they
Listen to my podcast.
They ended up being our core audience as a result. And then just people that we were friends with. That's how we got our core audience, was just through developing relationships.
I kind of.
Are we bothering
Yeah,
you?
no. So busy here. I walked into an established audience. By the time I was part of the show, Jack and Lauren had already done an amazing job of gathering a really nice core group of listeners, and we've grown, and we will continue to grow. It's an ongoing process.
Yeah, I mean, for us, within 2 months, I think we've got like 90 people on a RT group page. I mean, realistically, as far as YouTube views goes, I mean, we get about 20 to 60 views on our podcast stuff. We got a lot more views as far as our mini cast that we did for E3, because we did a section for each different game developer and stuff.
Except
like
for
that.
Nintendo.
So, yeah, Nintendo we didn't even
Andres?
do.
For us, I mean, we set up a Facebook page, a Twitter page, and all that right away. And it was really just like, hey, our friends, listen to this and share it with your friends. Maybe they'll like it. And it turns out they did. So for us, like our first podcast, maybe 4 months ago, hit 500 people, which doesn't seem like a lot, but it's, dude, if one person's listening to it, that's awesome. So
For anyone wanting to start a Rooster Teeth community podcast, I want to make sure you know this ahead of time. I've done my research. If you get 30 views on an episode, that's pretty respectable in the community.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get sad about that. That is good.
send it to me. I'll watch it.
Another question.
I'll listen to
We
it.
got like a minute.
No one? What's
Yes.
Oh man,
up? Dude, let's start. Okay, can I
Oh,
start?
man.
Hold on.
Can we get an extension, please?
So it took me 2 years to come up with my podcast name. And then one day I was listening to, shout outs to my boy, Kevin Smith. I was listening to his podcast, to his audiobook, and he said, at the end of the day, whenever we record the podcast, we ain't really saying much. And I was like, done! Ain't saying much podcast.
So you're a fucking hack, is what you're
I
saying.
am.
basically.
Listen, that man is my hero.
When we were transitioning from Late Night Jenga Jam to what it is now, Glib Shark, we had a couple of ideas and we were kind of spitballing them around. Glib Shark was the one that we just kept coming back to. We're like, oh, well, we could call it this or that, and after that, we just started referring to it as Glib Shark. It just stuck.
Yeah.
Sharks.
I'm more of a fan of the alliteration. So we had a couple of different names that we're touring around with, but I ended up settling on Bitblender just because.
What was the other name? Do you want to tell
Sounds
them?
cool. The other one we were looking at was Roving Pixel.
Yeah.
But I feel like alliteration does better when it comes to names. So Bitblender, 2Bs, it kind of works a little bit better.
We kind of wanted to go with a gaming theme in our name that signified community. And the best way we could think was to be that fourth player on that crappy controller who just wants to be there in everyone's company. And so we made it like the 8-bit logo of the P4 and just went with that.
So, yeah.
Shout out to Deco Wilson for making the logo for Bitblender. He's made all of the everything. All of the everything. The only reason we look good is because of Deco Wilson.
Yes.
One blue wolf on the RT site.
Buy his things so we
Yeah.
can get him here to Texas.
Our logo was done by Amy T. Falcone.
Shout out to my best friend Tex, who has supported me through all of this, even whenever I failed miserably in my life.
Yay.
Don't fucking start crying, you pussy.
Listen, I'm not crying, okay? No, like, honestly, at the end of the day, the main thing is you have to be passionate about it, and you have to support, like, you have to get the support from your friends. All these people here who know me and have been on, you know, either Bitblender or have supported us somehow, that's your rock. And your best friends is who's going to help.
You guys are fucking awesome and short.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
out.
Yeah,
Thank you so
guys
much.
very much.
Thank you guys.
We've been doodling the entire time, and it's been really distracting. But if you want to see our work, it's up here now.
It's quite lovely.
Right up here.
It's quite girthy as well.
It's got a nice heft to it.